In the headlines, Nigeria Labour Congress begins nationwide strike on Wednesday over subsidy. President Tinubu appoints Chief of Staff Secretary to the government of the Federation, meets APC state governors. Troops rescue 10 kidnapped victims, kill scores of bandits in Zamfara state. And on the foreign scene, Sudan fighting intensifies despite U.S. sanctions as death toll hits over 1,800. Hello and welcome to Trust News Update. I am Abdurrahman Umar. Thanks for joining. And now the news in full. The Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC) has declared a nationwide strike from next Wednesday to force government fuel subsidy removal. The organized labor takes the position after an emergency meeting of the National Executive Council of the NLC, headed by its president Joe Ajero in Abuja on Friday. Kabiru Lawan reports.
Forward, ever, backward, never.
The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited on Wednesday hiked fuel price from 195 naira to over 500 naira across its retail outlets nationwide. The union leaders accused the NNPCL of fixing prices arbitrarily, saying if allowed to stay, it will subject workers to undue suffering as well as other Nigerians. Nigeria Labour Congress President Joe Ajero called on the government to reverse the fuel subsidy removal in the interest of Nigerian economy. Failure to reverse to old price, the meeting said, will leave the NLC with no option but to mobilize workers for a nationwide strike starting from Wednesday next week.
The NLC decided that if by Wednesday next week that the NNPC, a private limited liability company that illegally announced a price regime in the oil sector, refuses to revert itself for negotiation to continue, that the Nigerian Labour Congress and all its affiliates will withdraw their services and commence protests nationwide.
Ajero explained that if the government wants to remove fuel subsidy, it needs to consult critical stakeholders to arrive at alternatives and how to cushion its negative effect on the people.
Until this is complied with, and that NNPC doesn't have the monopoly to act illegally, even as a private company. The NLC NEC therefore directed all state councils and all industrial unions to commence mobilization from this moment.
Nigerian Labour Congress Counsel Femi Falano San explained that government must find alternative to subsidy removal, as ensuring welfare of people is the primary responsibility imposed on it by the Constitution.
NNPC Limited, a private company, was alleged to have fixed the prices of petroleum products or jacked up the price. This is clearly illegal. There's no provision for it under the law. So we hope that the government will have to go back to the drawing table and take the whole month, the month of June, to meet with relevant stakeholders to plan and look for alternative solutions to the problem.
Fuel queues have resurfaced and transport fare increased since the subsidy removal was announced. Kabir Lawal, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Governors of the All Progressive Congress (APC) have condemned the outrageous price of petrol set by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, who they say has taken advantage of the subsidy removal to fleece consumers. The APC governors, however, defended President Bola Tinubu's decision to respect the provision of the Petroleum Industry Act that outlaws the payment of petrol subsidy beyond June this year. Kendi Amudu reports.
The APC governors may say they are at State House to congratulate President Bola Tinubu for a successful inauguration. But the real reasons for the visit is eventually let out of the bag. The president's announcement on the withdrawal of fuel subsidy payment has had an instant ripple effect across the country. The stance of government is clearly enunciated.
Decisions that you have seen, and I thank you for supporting, for encouraging all of this, is one, I inherited, and it is fundamental. Inherit the asset and liability of my predecessor. That's it.
We should all be aware of the consequences of unveiling a masquerade. The oil scam cabal is a very, very powerful cabal that are dangerously loaded, and they will go out of their way to undermine this great initiative by Mr. President.
On the one hand, the governors are defending the decision to stop the payment of petrol subsidy and are offering their support.
Are prepared to work with you, sir, as you would want us to, in looking at how to manage this situation.
What this audience is promising you, sir, is you have a total unalloyed commitment and loyalty.
You will find a lot of competencies among the governors. You will find people who are willing to make sacrifices in order to ensure that your vision is achieved.
On the other hand, they see the astronomical price increase by the NNPCL and petrol marketers as premature.
From May 2019 to today, I'm not aware that any petroleum marketer has imported any product. All the products in their storage facilities are those already imported, subsidized by government. Why the rush to increase the prices?
This kind of meeting between the president and Progressives Governors Forum is the first of many more meetings that will help the APC administration plan and coordinate the implementation of policies, plans, and programs in its manifesto. At the meeting, President Tinubu announced his first set of appointments. The appointment indicates that President Tinubu has set the ball rolling and is prepared to take on the task of governance. From State House, Abuja, Kehinde Amudu, Trust TV News.
The subsidy crisis is affecting every Nigerian because of the importance of the petroleum commodity for daily needs. In Makurdi, Jamie Azande reports that some travelers were stranded at the motor parks because of the rise in transport fares. Report.
It was COVID-19, currency redesign, and now fuel subsidy crisis among other hardships faced by Nigerians in recent times. In Makurdi, there is low vehicular movement because most people cannot afford to buy fuel. There was commotion at the motor parks for intending travelers who came face to face with the reality of subsidy crisis.
Then from Ogene to Makurdi, before they were collecting 3,500 before, but yesterday was 7,000. So everything was double. So people are getting it too hard.
Half load, I pay 2,000, but this one they're charging 4,000. And last week I traveled from Kano down here, I pay 8,000, and now it's 10,000. You know, all those cars, that some place where we are used to pay 100 is 200 now. Some place we are paid 50 naira, they collect 120, 150 with a bag.
The transporters, like the travelers, also lamented that it has been a difficult time for businesses since the presidential pronouncement.
We run to Makurdi, from Makurdi to Port Harcourt. Before now, our transport fare was 8,000, and we could balance well with the price of 8,000. But since the subsidy removal, it has become difficult. Like on the first, we added 1,000 naira to 8,000. We took for 9,000. We couldn't balance. And today, being second, we have added again to 10,000. After today, we still monitor it. This time is a very difficult time for passengers and company owners. Very difficult time. because there is no money.
Others feel the oil marketers have never been fair to the public. They, however, express hope in the future.
Generally, not even in the park here only. Yeah. Even when you are to transport from your house to the park, you will pay huge amount of money. Transport of 100 naira now is 200 naira. Some people like me now, I do pay 150 to come down here on bike, but today I paid 250 naira to come down here. So the situation is not that easy. Normally, from my own experience, fuel has been in high price. Yeah, it's only few stations that do sell in the normal price. But the situation this time around actually is very, very difficult to know.
As at the time of this report, almost all gas stations in Makurdi were dispensing the PMS or fuel at a price of between 540 and 600 naira.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has announced the appointment of Speaker of House of Representatives Femi Bajabiamila as Chief of Staff and Senator Ibrahim Hassan Hadija, a former Deputy Governor of Jigawa State, as Deputy Chief of Staff. The announcement was contained in a statement issued by Director of Information Abiodun Olatunji. Olatunji said the president also named former governor of Benue State and former Minister of Special Duties, George Akume, secretary to the government of the Federation, SGF. Bajabiamila was said to have been seen today being taken around the office of the Chief of Staff by staff in the presidential villa. The election petition of the Allied People's Movement APM against the Independent National Electoral Commission INEC, All Progressives Congress APC and President Bola Tinubu has been adjourned till Friday, June 9th. The tribunal had adjourned at the last sitting to enable parties to obtain copies of the judgment in a similar matter of the People's Democratic Party PDP versus the APC and Tinubu, which the respondents in this matter say have been thoroughly dealt with. The matter was adjourned again Friday on the ground that the councils have not been able to obtain copies of the Supreme Court judgment. The party was in court for proceedings on its suit challenging the February 25th election of Tinubu and Vice President Kashim Shettima. In the meantime, 10 kidnapped victims have regained their freedom in Zamfara State. They were rescued by the troops of the Joint Task Force northwest of Operation Hadarin Daji after conducting a clearance operation in the Shinkafi local government area of the state. The troops also killed several terrorists in the Anka local government area of Zamfara State. Trust TV gathered that the military operations were conducted on Tuesday, May 30th, and across the two local governments. During the clearance operation, the troops also recovered 8 live cartridges, 4 AK-47 rifles, 1 VTK machine gun, 3 motorcycles, and several pieces of special ammunition. Troops also responded quickly by blocking the route which led to the Uncompany illegal mining site. On sighting the troops, the suspected career man abandoned his motorcycle and a big bag containing 46 military jungle hats, 26 camouflage t-shirts, 2 desert boots, 14 different variants of military camouflage uniforms, and 1 desert hand glove at the scene. The Oyo State Police Command has declared the sacked chairman of Park Management System PMS, Mukaila Lamidi, aka Auxiliary, wanted. The authorities disclosed this during a briefing on Friday. The move follows another raid of his hotel where more dangerous weapons were recovered on Thursday. The policemen have stormed Auxiliary's Ibadan residence where weapons and ammunition were recovered. During the operation, the suspect reportedly escaped while some of his lieutenants were arrested by the police. There was palpable tension in some parts of the state after the raid, especially in major car parks and garages in Ibadan, the state capital. Unconfirmed number of people were said to have been killed during the face-off between the police and the PMS members. An 18-year-old girl, Wusailat Yusuf from Ibadan, Oyo State, has been intercepted by men of the Nigerian Immigration Service at Yuri border base in Kebbi State on her way to Libya through Ilela border in Sokoto State. Addressing journalists in Birnin Kebbi, State Comptroller of Immigration, Rabi Bashir Nuhu, said the teenager was a victim of human traffickers. She added that she was brought to the state headquarters of NIS in Birnin Kebbi after she was intercepted by the officers at the Yuri border. Reacting, the 18-year-old girl said she was going to Libya on the invitation of her sister, who promised her a cleaner job on arrival in the North African country. While receiving the girl from the NIS, NAFTIP head of operations, Sadiq Atiku Abubakar, said the girl will undergo rehabilitation before joining her family. You are watching News Update on Trust TV. Coming up shortly after the break, we take a look at how renewable energy is transforming lives. For details of this and more, stay with us after the break. Welcome back, and if you are just joining us, this is Trust News Update. Now we take a look at the recap of our top stories. Nigeria Labour Congress begins nationwide strike on Wednesday over subsidy. And President Tinubu appoints Chief of Staff Secretary to the government of the Federation, meets APC state governors. Now moving on to other stories. As the world grapples with the effects of climate change, many communities are turning attention to renewable energy sources to reduce carbon emission. In Katsina State, the inadequate electricity supply has forced many to adopt supply energy as an alternative. In this report, Jamil Mabai highlights the impact of government's failure to provide basic needs such as electricity to citizens. Take a look.
Businesses, households and corporate offices are switching to solar energy. According to them, it is reliable and carbon footprint friendly.
The greatest importance of solar is giving you energy independence. You do not have to rely on the main grid electricity for you to use electricity. It gives you efficiency, it gives you productivity, it also gives you peace and satisfaction. Governments, organizations, and NGOs all over the world are trying to find ways to cut down on this carbon emission that we're having in the world. Solar is one-stop shop for this.
Recent statistics show that the average number of solar energy users in Katsina State has increased from 5 to 9% in the last 2 years.
This is a set of stand-alone.
This is primarily because many people have lost trust in government's ability to provide their basic needs.
You do not have to rely on the main grid electricity for you to use electricity. It is, an example is you get home at 10 p.m. in the night, having a work to do, without having to wait for NEPA, KEDCO to bring light for you. You just get ahead work.
The lack of electricity in Katsina has been a major challenge for businesses, forcing many to rely on expensive and environmentally harmful generators. Abubakar operates a poultry farm that requires constant energy supply. He believes that utilizing solar energy will give him an edge over his competitors.
We need constant light from the day you put your eggs for hatching. That was why we had to go back to solar energy. If we rely on government electricity, it will fail us. Generators can be faulty sometimes, plus services and petrol. The easiest way was to go back to solar energy.
Solar energy is becoming increasingly popular despite its high installation cost. It is a wise long-term investment that pays off in the end. Not only it is cheaper in the long run, but also environmental friendly. Jamilu Mobay, Trust TV, Katsina.
Customer care service in the banking sector has been an issue among bank customers who have always had issues that need to be addressed. These issues were worsened by the recent Naira Swap policy, which strained banks' digital platforms. In this report, Trust TV's Zainab Garay takes a look at the effectiveness of the customer care services in the banking amidst the many complaints by customers. The report.
At the core of any successful business is a valuable customer care unit that helps customers in their discovery, use, and troubleshooting of a product or service. This is even more crucial for the banking sector, which deals with personal finances of individuals, corporate organizations, small business, and government.
I keep imagining, how can the bank not have a network? What's the whole instance of banking system when you don't have a network? So I think CBN should have rules. I think there are rules, but it's not just being effective. So I think they should make this rule effective that, okay, these are some measures some banks have to put in place so that they don't frustrate their customer. Like, for instance, today, I wanted to check my bank app. I couldn't open it. And I can't become member. Other of my colleagues were having the same complaints. And when we even tried the ATM card in the POS, we tell you ATM cannot work.
In Abuja, however, customers told Trust TV News that the services from the customer care units of financial institutions is way below expectations, as several issues and complaints remain unattended despite officially lodging them after days, weeks, and even months.
I've really had a bad situation with some security personnel, whereby honestly the treatment we got that day was so inhumane. Like, nobody that saves money with a bank should experience such. So I think banks should should improve on every aspect.
Other customers advise stakeholders in the banking sector to give their customer care representatives the needed orientation to effectively handle complaints from customers.
There's a process of complaining. CBN have a complaint mechanism, a number 200 or so. Now, before you can call CBN expects you to have go to your bank and complain. And when you are complaining, they expect to give you a form. You fill that form, then you generate a code, right? That code is what you can escalate if you are not attended to within 3 days as it were. But I think the central bank need to do more so that Nigeria will not suffer.
Residents in the FCT are hopeful that an enhanced customer service desk will better guide them in their financial decisions and reduce issues arising from inadequate information about banks, products, and services. Zainab Garay, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Corporate Affairs Commission (CAC) said reforms being undertaken by the Commission is to ensure that companies operate in accordance with the law. The Registrar of the Commission, Alhaji Garba Abubakar, stated this on Trust TV's program Business Daily. According to him, the Commission has keyed into the policies and programs of the government that is aimed at delivering goods to Nigerians.
Government is about due diligence, it's about transparency, it's about citizens' rights. So, and we have queued in to actually deliver on that. Most of the initiatives that we have done. In fact, our register, even the beneficial ownership register, is the first in Africa. No other country in Africa has done what we have done in terms of beneficial ownership register. And even the electronic system of registration. In fact, next week, from the 7th to 9th, we are receiving delegation from some African countries, from Kenya, from Zambia and other countries. They are coming to understudy what we have done as part of their learning camp.
And on the foreign scene, Sudan's conflict has continued for a 7th continuous week, where fighting has propelled the nation into an all-out war. Since fighting between dueling generals from the Sudanese army and its rival paramilitary Rapid Support Forces (RSF) broke out on April 15, the country has plunged into a humanitarian crisis with more than 1,800 people killed. The United Nations says at least 1.6 million displaced within the country or across its borders, with many fleeing to Egypt, Chad and South Sudan. Multiple ceasefires have been violated by both parties, and Saudi and United States brokered peace negotiations have now been suspended. On Thursday, the U.S. had imposed the first sanctions related to the conflict in Sudan, warning that it will hold accountable all those undermining peace in the Northeast African country. And finally, in sports news, Nigeria's Flying Eagles arrived in the city of Santiago del Estero on Friday morning ahead of their quarter-final fixture against South Korea. The 2023 FIFA Under-20 World Cup last 8 encounter is slated for the Estadio Único Madrid de Ciudades in Santiago del Estero on Sunday. South Korea booked a date with the Flying Eagles after a hard-fought 3-2 win against Ecuador on Thursday night. The Flying Eagles earlier eliminated host Argentina 3-2 in their round of 16 contest. Sunday's encounter will be the third meeting between both teams at this level. Nigeria and South Korea have one victory each. The game will kick off at 6:30 p.m. Nigerian time. With that, we have come to the end of the Trust TV's news update. Do not forget to follow us across all our media platforms and our YouTube live stream. I am Abdurrahman Umar. Thanks for watching and bye for now.